Landon, I got a quick question before we start. You played college basketball. We know that, right? What shoe did you wear in college basketball?
Nike.
Nike.
Yeah.
It's good to get that out there. Full disclosure.
But were you guys sponsored by Nike, or you just wore those?
Yeah, we all had. It was a team shoe. Yes.
There we go. Okay. All right, Evelyn.
So definitely, whenever you talk about Nike, all of these different sponsorships with sports come up, and that, I will say, full disclosure, is my weak spot with this conversation. But Nike's been pretty interesting this week. I mean, their shares pulled back earlier. However, today, going into earnings, which they have after market, they're up about almost 1% or so. But their last report, Landon, their North American sales were not quite as strong as they had been in the past, and among that, their Converse brand in particular had some weakness. So I'm wondering, what are you seeing with your LikeFolio data about strength in Nike?
Yeah. So what we're seeing with Nike when it comes to strength are the Air Max and the Jumpman brands, and so we've seen for a long time that the Air brand has been the leader going back 3 or 4 years, but just recently, over the last year or so, the Jordan brand is actually taking over and sort of becoming the king of the court as far as shoes go for Nike. So as far as our data goes, and when you look at Nike overall, they're doing okay on purchase intent. It's not a great quarter for them as far as our data goes, but when you look at some of their competitors, Adidas, Under Armour, and some of the others, they're off quite a bit purchase intent wise, and so we're seeing some relative strength in Nike, not overall strength year over year, quarter over quarter. But what I think what's really interesting with them is, their last report, they reported growth in apparel and footwear of 6% and 9% respectively, but direct to consumer was plus 14%. I think that's going to be the story. And I think that is what is going to shake things up in the industry, is that they're going direct to consumer around some of the retailers. And so honestly, on this report, I may be watching Foot Locker more than Nike, because I think that this could be bad news for Foot Locker in the long term.
All right, follow me here, Landon. I'm gonna stretch this out a little bit. When you think of automobiles and luxury automobiles, right? I think of Toyota owns Lexus, GM owns Cadillac, right? Is Jordan brand becoming the luxury brand of Nike?
That's a good question. I mean, it's certainly becoming the one that people are talking about. And what's interesting, if you look at the top tags for Nike on our system, the ones that are getting the most hits, of course, Nike itself is number 1, but Air Max and Jumpman are 2 and 3. And so they're the ones that are rising to the top. And you've got some of these brands like Vapor Max and the Max 720 under the Nike Air brand. That are really becoming the ones that people talk about. And of course, the Jumpman are up there as well. So I think those are the top ones, Air Max and Jumpman, and then the rest are just kind of playing second fiddle.
Yeah, and you make a good point there with the Jumpman, because that's my man, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, and he is the luxury brand. And
your man? Whoa, time out. What, your man?
They're close friends, clearly.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago.
Okay. And the greatest of all time, never to be knocked off that perch.
So back to Nike, since we're getting off track right there. Our first tweet is from Heisenberger. He says, picked up Nike calls on this dip. Thursday is earnings. Thursdays is earnings, and analysts say they should be good. Retail numbers were good last report, so chance they might even beat. And then 85 strike July 12th. So this Twitter user, this trader, seems to be pretty positive, pretty bullish on Nike going into earnings, right? Despite whatever tariff concerns might be in the way.
Think about it. Landon's comments are kind of muted, right? Ken Rose's technical analysis was kind of on the negative side. With everything going on with China, this is starting to be a one-way street, one-way topic here that we're talking about, and it isn't positive.
Yeah, and Landon, I know, just to clarify, your data doesn't include international, right? And it's all domestic.
Yeah. That's very important. So it's English speaking only, and Evelyn makes a good point there. I think that their leading country for growth last quarter was China, and I think it was up 19%. So this tariff talk could be very concerning for them. I think that could be a big part of it. Longer term, I think the direct-to-consumer is the play. But, as I said earlier, Kevin, you picked up on it. It is a little bit muted. I wouldn't say we're bearish on Nike, but the data is just kind of But when you compare it to Adidas and Under Armour, it's looking much better. Nike's doing the best of the shoe retailer or the shoemakers that we have, but they're not doing great.
So not only comparing to Adidas and Under Armour, you know, companies that are kind of more similar to Nike, but Lululemon. I love talking about Lululemon in contrast with Nike. And Nike also said that they might add their own women's yoga line. But what I think is really interesting with the differentiation between these two companies is that Nike doesn't have that many standalone stores like Lulu does. I mean, Nike, we have the one on Michigan Avenue, but I've never been in it. I go to a Dick's Sporting Goods if I want to look at Nike apparel, which I did actually last week. But I have this tweet from Kelly who says, I'm clearly not brand loyal. I'm currently wearing Nike, Adidas, New Balance, and Lululemon. So I kind of feel like I'm this kind of consumer. I don't strictly shop at one place or the other. Do you think that hurts Nike, or do you see them having much more brand loyalty?
You know, I think that for brand loyalty, you're going to get it with some of the sneakerheads, you know, the guys that wait in line to get the latest shoes, the ones that are using the Nike app, the sneakers app, to buy the secondhand shoes or to get them fast off the shelf. I think that's where you get a lot of the brand loyalty, but I don't think you get a lot when it comes to just apparel and the average everyday consumer. So I would agree with that user and yourself that you just kind of buy what you like, and no matter who makes it, you're going to let the best company win.
Yeah, and I always think about it this way. What did I get as a gift, right? I'll probably be wearing that, you know, and it might be Under Armour, it might be Nike, it might be some Lululemon shorts, because I'm probably not buying those as opposed to anything else there. But Landon, if you take a look at Nike, and I know that you guys have the brand comparisons between the Jumpman and the Nike Air, but do you guys ever look at Nike as a whole instead of parsing away, you know, two big components of them? As a whole, are you seeing positive momentum out of Nike?
Yeah, so as a whole, no, we're not seeing positive momentum. That's where I was kind of, like Kevin talked about, muted a little bit. It's a little bit off year over year, not real strong. But when we compare it to some of their competitors, they're doing much better. And so we did want to break it out just to show that the Jordan brand is really taking off, as opposed to the Nike Air, which is a little bit more stagnant. But overall, Nike is mostly flat over the last year or so. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how the direct-to-consumer and the international sales go.
Yeah. All right, Landon Swan, thanks for all the great data from LikeFolio. Appreciate it on Nike. We're going to take a look at that in a little bit. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Hey, Evelyn, real quick question before we go. If Nike comes out with yoga pants, will you look into that?
Tom, Nike has yoga pants. Where has this man been hiding?
Well, that's a much longer show.
Nike has yoga pants.
I don't want to track
How much time you got, Evelyn? I mean,
it's all about personal preference. So you can't put one over the other. It's all about the type of exercise that you like, which is usually where people go as far as which brands, which companies.
And
my own family data,
cost, yes.
There's Lululemon and there's everything else.